Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel, coming at you at 5:23 in the morning. That's right, even later than my normal time that I do these videos. But last night I honestly just fell asleep upstairs, kind of mulling over what to do with a particular item of mine that I'm really having a hard time with, and I wanted to run it by all of you, all the prime timers, all the new visitors, and get your feedback in terms of what you think is going on and what you would do to kind of deal with this problem. So let me kind of explain to you in a nutshell what's going on. I'll give you kind of the Cliff Notes version of it, I guess. And probably there will be a part 2 of this video once I come to a resolution of what to do. One is currently in the works, but without further delay, let me kind of just describe it to you. Basically, what happened is that I recently purchased a large bundle of collectibles from somebody. Made a good general purchase on the lot, and one of the things that I was able to find was a really rare set of promotional sales sheets from 1982 for a line of toys that not a lot of people know about. You're more familiar with things like Masters of the Universe and Thundercats and GI Joe and that sort of stuff. But these are actually Transformers would be another one. But these are called Godaiken. They are super robot toys that were made by a Japanese company, Bandai, and they came out in 1982, and they were, super expensive toys back in the day, and because of that, they never really caught on. Now, that's one reason, because of the price. The price was so high because they were quite large, and also they couldn't find a way to manufacture them in the United States. They're all manufactured in Japan and had to be imported. And so the price was one reason they never caught on. They also didn't really catch on because they didn't really have a TV show or a movie or something like that to kind of tie it into. Like there was the Masters of the Universe cartoon show with He-Man, and there were GI Joe cartoons and Transformers cartoons. They didn't have anything like that. There was really no media tie-in, and so parents weren't going to fork over all sorts of high amounts of money for these toys when they could just go out and buy a Transformer toy. So however, many kids do remember seeing them in the toy stores, and now they're grown up and they're in their 40s and they want to get one of them. And they're challenging to find. You can find them, but because they are low in supply and high in demand amongst a subset of the toy collector community, they'll go for a lot of money. One of these toys will sell anywhere, usually between $1,000 and $2,000 if you could find it complete. So I was able to find the sales promo sheets. Now, if you're not familiar with sales promo sheets, these are sheets that, and they look like this one over here. So I'm just going to bring it up for you. Here's just one of them. I actually found 10 of them, and as you can see, they're in immaculate condition. This is one of the more popular of the robots that came out, known as Tetsujin 28 or Tet 28. And he just looks just amazing, very powerful, cool toy. So you could see why people would want to go back for nostalgia reasons and try to get that toy that they weren't able to get when they were younger, or just things associated with it. Now, again, this is not the toy, it's not the actual robot that I'm selling. I'm selling the promotional sales sheet, which if you could see, if you were able to, kind of zoom in on the bottom here, basically what these do is these were sent out to, toy stores and, people who are selling toys to let them know about this new line of product that's coming out. And it kind of pitches it to the person who runs the store, and lets them know about it, and then typically would be included in like a folder that was sent out to the toy store would be ordering information. So I actually not only have the 10 sales sheets, I actually also have the original order forms, and I have the original folder that it was mailed to. I mean, this was found buried in the bottom of a tote that has been, left basically untouched for decades, and so they are just very hard to come by. So what happened is that I decided, rather than blowing all of them out in one lot, I decided to test what would happen on the market by just taking two of these, so this one and another one, so two of the 10, putting it up for how I normally sell things, which I normally sell everything buy it now and best offer, and I do tremendously well at that. So that's how I put this up, and I said, you know what, let's just see what happens if I put it up for $99. So I put it up for $99, and all of a sudden I noticed this is when eBay's view count was actually working, which is not working now because of a perpetual glitch that's been going on for the last month or so. But prior to that, the view count was working, and within less than 24 hours, I had almost like 100 views. I had lots of people ask me questions. I had people asking me if I had more and wanting to know if I'd be willing to sell them the entire set. People from different countries, because I do sell internationally. And at the same time, I happen to be watching a lot of videos from Craigslist Hunter, who does very, very well with auctions. And, I know this as well, that auctions are really best designed for items that are high in demand, but they are low in terms of availability. So I said, you know what? I haven't done an auction in a really long time. Why don't I just put this up for auction? I mean, I just, again, just in terms of background, I used to sell on eBay when eBay first started. So back in 2000, I was basically, that's how the only way you could sell on eBay was auction. So I have a lot of familiarity with doing auctions on all sorts of items, and so I said, you know what? All right, let's give it a try. But I decided to put a reserve on it initially. I put a reserve on it. It cost $4 to do because my reserve was $99. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen. I didn't want to just give the item away, but it seemed like it would go for higher than that. And sure enough, let me show you what happened when I initially sold it. Here it is right here. Look at that. It sold for $305. Absolutely crazy, right? For a single piece of paper. So let's go over to the bid history here, and you could see what happened. Now, I will tell you from what I remember is that there were, by the time this ended, I had 29 watchers on it. And initially, the first day that I put it up, which was June 12th, and I started it at $9.99, within a very short period of time, within the same day, it was already up to 50 bucks. Now that's crazy. I mean, that's telling you right then and there you've got huge interest in your item. And the person who bid here, I could tell you 100% sure, because I've been communicating with him up until the present time, knows that that this is the sales promo sheet and not the toy. And I just want to make it very clear here, when you look at my item, I'm going to go out of this for a second here, but I make it extremely clear this is the salesman product sheet. And I also mentioned that very clearly in my ad, that this is not the toy, that this is the salesman product sheet. So anyway, let's go back over to the bids and just kind of show you what happened. So it gets up to, let's see, by June 18th, it's up to $160, and it ends the next day. The next day, which is typical for auctions, a lot of people wait till the very end to start bidding, their highest amounts. You could see, and these are people generally with high feedbacks, 200, 123, 197, and at the very end, some guy with zero feedback comes in, which is a big red flag. That might be someone who's not serious and tries to put a bid in for $290, $300, but then at the last second, a guy with five, or lady with five feedbacks comes in and wins it for $305. Now remember, I ship internationally, and I've previously said, and I guess I jinxed myself, that I have never had a problem in using eBay's global shipping service, although that's been with the buy it now best offer, of not getting paid. Well, it turns out this person was from Singapore, If we look at the feedbacks here, we will see that did not have a person did not have a purchase over the last year, which is a red flag. But I can't prevent that person from bidding on it. But that's a red flag. Person hasn't been active. Person is it says here from Indonesia. When it told me a person was from Singapore, and basically person just didn't pay. So after 2 days went by, I opened an unpaid item case, and then after 4 days, I was able to close the case. I did go and contact these people here to make some second chance offers and see if they were interested. But didn't hear back from either one of them. So now that could be because during the heat of the moment when you're in these auctions and you're trying to outbid somebody else, you start putting in these higher bids. But then after a week goes by and you have time to mull it over and think about it, then someone comes in and says, "Hey, do you want to buy it for 300 because the other person didn't purchase it?" It doesn't quite have the kind of the same impact and effect, and so it's hard to make that kind of sale. So okay, I understand that. Figure okay, guy bid more than he was willing to pay for it, and just that's just bad luck on that item. So what do I do? Do I just take it down and put it back up again, with a reserve, without a reserve? I felt that I could put it up without a reserve because the data here indicates, right, that it should definitely go for over $100. So that's what I did. I put it up again for auction, $9.99 start price, no reserve, and decided to see what happened. And immediately, let me show you here what happened. This is the one that ended last night. This is why I'm up at 5:30 in the morning right now. Now it ended at about 9:34. And by the way, I've been promoting the heck out of this item, and I had another one of these sheets up named Daltonius. He's not as popular as a robot, but I've been promoting the heck out of this on Instagram. You might have seen some of my ads on it on Facebook, different toy collector group. So people knew about it, that I had it up and I had it going. And as you could see here, it wound up selling, but this time only sold for $81, with me having no reserve on it. So a couple reasons why that could have happened. One is that when there's no reserve on an item, people are more comfortable kind of holding back. When there's a reserve on it like this, people kind of poke around and see if they could go over that reserve number. And so that could be why people were poking around and going over $50 on the first day. Here, with no reserve, if we go and look at the bid history, you're going to see completely different behavior, which is interesting. It on the first day, so I put up on the 25th, it doesn't get over $11. Now that's a big difference, and you could see one of the same guys is bidding on it, but it's not going over. It's not going over that $50 price. In fact, it doesn't go over the $50 price at all until the very last day of the auction. So it's completely different. Now, one of the things I think that happened here is that some of the novelty of this wore off a bit. When I first put it up there, over here, people were kind of surprised to probably see this item, and the big kind of hoopla occurred over it. How high is it going to go? And a bunch of people might have got turned off by it to see that it went all the way up to 305 and decided not to get involved in this auction, because this auction only had 20 watchers, whereas this auction had 29 watchers. So there was a difference in the level of interest. And this is one of the problems that I'm going to tell you about eBay's auctions, which is eBay does not set it up so that somebody who bids has to pay immediately. Now you could set it up for buy it now, for your buy it now items, that the person has to give you immediate payment. You cannot do that for an auction, and I think that's a big mistake, and it's one of the reasons that contributes to these sorts of problems. And it leads to a lot of market confusion, because if the person doesn't believe that they actually have to pay and that there's not going to really be any meaningful, significant consequence to them, at least financially, financially, if you decide not to pay, eBay is not going to force you to pay. They're not going to do anything like that. The most that's going to happen to you is you're going to get an unpaid item strike on your account, if the seller opens a case and holds you accountable for it, which I do, because that's the most I could do to hold the person accountable. And then I ban them, I bid them, I'm not bid them, I put them on my bidder restriction list. They call it the blocked bidder list, or the blocked buyer list. And that just prevents them from being able to make a purchase from me again. But there's no financial penalty to them for failing to pay. So it leads to market confusion, because we don't know now whether or not this is really true value for this. And there's several people who are bidding in this same range: 305, 300, 290, 280. So is the value 300 or not? It's hard to say. If it really was, eBay just lost out on some money there. I obviously am losing out on some money by these people being allowed, or this person being allowed to just walk away from it and not follow through on making the actual purchase that they that they bid on. So now this one sells for $81, right? Now this is where things start to get crazy. So this one sells for 81, and it sells to somebody in the United States. This person over here, okay? Now you could see the name, and as the name implies, this person now, because remember, these toys are Japanese toys, so the person who wins it has a Japanese sounding name. His real name kind of looks like the name there. That's it. That's the username. And it turns out that he instantly pays for it. So payment comes right through on PayPal. I'm like, all right, you know what? Fine, $81. We'll just, that's, it's, after all, it's a piece of paper. I'll be happy with the $81, and I'll send it out to the guy. So, it turns out that within about 2 minutes of sending me payment, the person sends me this message: I'm sorry, I'm mistake. I will cancel this item. Very, very sorry. No explanation as to why. Misspellings, poor grammar, probably, again, this is somebody, not probably, this is somebody who, doesn't speak good English, and there's some kind of communication issue going on here. Now, it's possible that the person misread something about the item and thought that it was the robot, right? So that's a possibility that you might think of. And is that what happened? Is that why this person canceled? It's hard to say, though, because the person, you can see there, it says order status paid. It's hard to say, though, because the person doesn't give me an explanation, doesn't tell me why. And it's hard for me, by the way, to believe that the person really thinks it's the robot, when again I make it so blatantly clear that it's not the robot in the title and in the ad. And also, no one in their right minds who knows anything about these toys would ever think that one could sell for $81 or even $300 when the clearly established market price for them is $1,000 to $2,000. So again, I'm being generous with that being a possible explanation, but I think it's, more has to do with some buyer regret, especially for this person over here who won it for $305 and thinks, oh boy, I don't, maybe I really don't want it for that. After the heat of the moment, the person puts the bid in. Okay, so now to see, so the person wants to cancel the item, so go ahead and cancel. Person gets a refund. And it turns out this person happened to be the highest bidder on this one. This was the other sheet that I have. Okay. Now this one is definitely not as popular. The last time that I had it up, it didn't even meet the reserve. It sold for $56. So I didn't have to ship it out because it didn't meet my reserve of $99. So I just figured I'd hold on to it and maybe bundle it with some other ones, depending on how the other ones did on auction. Because my original plan was I was going to, auction 2 off per week and just see how it went from there. So then I get an email from this person, the same person, that says, sorry, this item I made a wrong bid. Please cancel me. Sorry, and a misspelling of the word sorry. So, you know, I basically told the person, wrote back, listen, you're going to have to retract your offer. There's nothing really I can do. You're going to have to just go in and retract your bid. So, turns out that I have been in communication with another person who has been bidding on this from time to time, who has expressed interest to me on the side for purchasing this item, and not only purchasing this item, but purchasing the entire set, all 10 of them, plus the folder and the other sales sheets that I have in there, like the order forms and stuff like that. I want the whole thing. So I let them know. I said, hey, listen, the other person just canceled, and so they don't have the item. That one's gonna go back on the market at some point. There's somebody who is winning this one. If you really want it, you could go in, you go win this one, and then I'll make a deal with you for the rest of them, and we'll do the sale through we'll do a private sale through PayPal and eBay. So he writes me back and says, all right, great, that's what I'll do. So after that happens, he goes in and he puts in a bid. Now I'm going to show you this right here. At the time that I contacted this person, the person who wound up canceling it was winning it at like $25, $26 or something like that, and then or 24, something like that. Then this person who I'm communicating with back channel comes in, and he is now in the lead. And at the last possible moment, the last second, this person, who's the person who canceled on the other one that went for 81, he comes in at the last minute. Now remember, he's not in the lead anymore. He's out. So all he has to do is not do anything. And he comes in at the last second and outbids this person, puts in a bid for $66, and he wins the auction. And then he instantly sends me a cancellation request. Now that does not make any sense whatsoever. Why on earth, after you outbid, you don't want the item, you want me to cancel your bid, as you just wrote me right here? Would you at the last moment outbid somebody else and then cancel it? It's very, very bizarre behavior. I've never seen anything like it before. So then, after it goes through and I cancel it, he sends me this message right over, where is it? Right over here. Now this is interesting, even more interesting. Now look at this. I'm so sorry, I was mistaken. I admit my mistake. I'm so sorry for the trouble. I'm really sorry. I apologize politely. Not a single misspelling at all. Grammar is okay. It just seems really, really fishy. I mean, in other words, was this somebody who purposely came in to purchase the item, not let anyone else get it, and then cancel it out, essentially trolling the listing? Now, if you go and you click on, and this is another thing that annoys me, if you go on and you click this person's feedback, so let's go over here, click the feedback, you're going to see that he does have positive feedbacks over the past few months, and I must have accidentally clicked on my phone to leave feedback, because I have an automatic kind of feedback thing that I do, and it now shows up that I gave this guy positive feedback, which just absolutely drives me crazy because I did not purposely do that. I must have hit the button by accident or something, and I've never ever done that before. So that's another thing that's really strange. So if you see that, just completely ignore that, because it's actually not true, and there's no way I could actually retract that. But just so strange, just so weird. So I'm curious what you think happened. Was this just a bunch of people who wound up getting confused? That seems to me like an overly generous explanation, at least for all of these instances. Um, do you think there was any foul play here? I'm not totally sure about that either. I don't really have a logical explanation for everything that really transpired here. But what I do know is that now I have all the sheets again. They are, something that I now have to decide what to do with. I could tell you that I am not going to repeat this again and put these individual sheets up for auction because it's just been a bad experience. Now, do I think that this is a problem that's just related to an auction per se? I'm not so certain about that, and I tend to doubt that because I know there are people who do very well with auctions, and I could, just as easily have someone come in and try to, buy an item, buy it now, best offer, and not pay me. Although at least in those situations, I could force the person to, pay up front. I could make a setting that they have to pay while they do a buy it now. Again, can't do that with the auction. That's a huge, 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 huge problem, and I really wish eBay would fix that. So um, I am in contact with someone else who has expressed interest in this item and will try to make a deal for the entire lot, and I will update you on what happens with that. I'm gonna find a way to move these no matter what, and in fact, if you're watching this and you have some kind of interest in it, you feel free to communicate me and let me know. I will tell you I've had some high dollar offers on it. So we'll see what terms I could eventually come to with someone, but I need to deal with a serious collector, someone who has some degree of wealth who wants to purchase this entire set because it is quite rare. They are in incredible condition, and I know that there's a collector out there who really does want this, but I've got to find a mechanism and a way to get these to that type of person in which I am not being interfered with by a bunch of jokers on the eBay auction site who are not serious and who are messing around and playing games, and the most generous explanation are not reading through the auction descriptions to clearly see that I am mentioning that these are the product sheets and that they are not the toys. So curious to get your input. Make sure you drop a comment down below for me, or if you have questions about it as well, feel free to ask me a question. And I hope you like this video. That I want to share with you the successes that I have, but I also want to be realistic and share with you some of the frustrating experiences that happen as well, and just get your input on how you would deal with it. This is the kind of stuff that happens sometimes when you're running a business. Doesn't always go smoothly. There are ups and downs. The key is to not get too down about it. Obviously there's some frustration associated with it, but I'm going to keep on plugging with these, and I know I'm going to be able to sell them eventually, and I'll look back at the whole thing and hopefully laugh at it at some point. But that's it for now. If you like this video, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscription button comes up at the end in the form of a treasure chest, so hit that, or subscribe anywhere else on the channel. And make sure, by the way, you come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and the link to that is down below as well. Just hit join and I will let you in if everything looks okay with your profile. So sorry for some few mispronunciations here along the way, but again, it is now 5:50 in the morning, so I am definitely not going on as much sleep as I would like, but really just trying to mull this over and figure out what to do. So we'll see, and I'll talk to you all at the next video. Thanks everybody. See you later.